Universidad Vergata in Italy. So today we're going to start the session with a presentation of a round-table discussion on the topic of the potential of blended learning post-COVID. With us, we have four renowned speakers, and which I will start to introduce. Well, I will start by Professor João Correia Freitas, PhD by Nova University Lisbon. He's currently assistant professor at the Faculty of Science and Technology at Nova. He's full professor and researcher at the Unit on Education and Development in ECT on Education and Training. Followed by him, we have here Professor Tiziana Tres. She's coordinator at the Pedagogical Design at Universidade Europeia and holds a PhD in Multimedia in Education by Universidad of Aveiro. Next, we have Ana Nascimento. She is consultant and researcher with studies in the area of education sciences. She has a PhD in Education Policy and Administration from the University of Lisbon, and she is part of the Innovating Prison Systems Correctional Staff Training and Development team. Last but not least, with us we also have Professor Vítor Rocio, professor and the researcher at Universidad Aberta. He holds a PhD in Informatics from the Faculty of Science and Technology of Nova University and a degree in Informatics in Engineering from FCT-UNL. He investigates about human language technologies and e-learning technology. So, without further ado, I will give the floor to our moderator and speaker, Professor João Correia de Freitas. Good morning, Professor, and welcome.
Good morning. Everyone, thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction and for the possibility of being here with you today. I'll start by greeting everyone at our round table here at the Universidad Nova Rectory, and of course our participants, our colleagues from everywhere around the world that are joining us through online communication. So I'm going to, on the program, someone put opening remarks, and I'll just make it a very brief remarks because we have only 1 hour to do this roundtable. I expect that we are starting a bit late, so we'll have to make our best effort in order to end up on time, so in order not to challenge the second part of the program. I'll just point a couple of things that I would propose that our speakers would take into account in their presentations in order to make a fine round table consulting with everyone that's participating on this part of the event. So the topic, as you know, it's the potential of blended learning post COVID-19. So that puts us after the confinement measures that we all had to experience during the pandemics. And my first remark is, where was blended learning before the COVID-19? And what were we doing regarding the use of this type of technologies to enhance education? I do think that, I'm not sure if there are already enough research done on this matter, but just a very, very personal conviction, sorry, a very personal way of seeing things, not fiction, tells me that we had to react to the pandemics with a very specific type of, using online conferencing and learning management systems and whatever one decided that was needed in order to fulfill the void created by the pandemics. And perhaps that for the most part of people that were not using blended learning or other types of digital education, they in some sort of way understood or gained the notion that that was what blended learning and e-learning and whatever distance learning even was about. So they, in my humble opinion, they mistakenly took whatever we did during the pandemics, a sort of emergency remote teaching and learning process, by the full-fledged distance learning, online learning, blended learning concept. And so that means that when the pandemics ended, or at least the confinement measures ended, they very quickly, I wouldn't say regressed, but I would say came back to the traditional way they were doing things before, with perhaps some gains. People did understand how to use video conferencing for one thing, and perhaps we're doing this event on using this type of technology support precisely because of that. But the things, and this is a very personal again statement, is when I speak with my colleagues at my college, they say, well, we had to use technology during that period, but there's nothing like face-to-face teaching. And so I dropped altogether all the things that I've done during the pandemic because they were not needed anymore. So it's like a Band-Aid, right? So you had a bruise, so you put the Band-Aid, the bruise solved itself, so you remove the Band-Aid. So that's one of the things that I wish that you thought about on your contribution. Are we on this post-COVID time? Are we really understanding what are the potential, what are the opportunities that are brought by technology, by the blended learning approach? I would like to also to point that there's a very broad range of notions of what blended learning is and e-learning and wherever. So I would kindly ask you just to briefly explain what you mean by whatever forms of technology, digital education and technology aids to teaching and learning, what that you are referring to. We are, as you know, here on the Blended Learning Awards, we are taking the notion of blended learning being face-to-face plus online synchronous communication. I would nevertheless add to this the asynchronous mode of communication too, but that's what's stated on the Blended Learning Awards project. And I would like also to that you, if you may, refer to the notion of presence when you're thinking about blended learning. In Portugal, we have the term that we use for face-to-face education is presential. It's something that regards presence. And one of the things that's well studied is the notion of presence on distance, on online, on remote communication. And so if you kindly could consider also that way of seeing things, whether or not the presence online is essentially well, it's essentially different, but is it worse than the presence on face-to-face? That's the thing that I think that you might take into consideration on your presentation. I would also like to give or at least call attention to the overall scenery, which is a pedagogical one. Okay, so why are we considering blended learning? Because we think that's a way of supporting pedagogical innovation and having a way of our students gain a better education, better teaching, better learning environments. So we are not doing this for the technology in itself. We are doing this because it helps us achieve a better learning environment. And so I had a few things, but I will leave that after your presentations to question you or to bring about some discussion on this notion. And I'll give back to you the floor. The floor. Arlette. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your introduction and for your opening remarks. To give and start this roundtable discussion, we would like to then start with the subtopic on the limitations and barriers. And now I will give the floor to Professor Tiziana, Dr. Tiziana Tres from Universidade Europeia. Professor, yeah, the speaker is on. Yeah.
Can I? Okay. Are you listening to me? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone, everywhere. And thank you for this invitation. I was invited for this roundtable for a very short speak, just to focus on this limitation and barriers. And I think I was chosen because I have been involved with this last year to implement online course in a new university. So we have the challenge for the first time to develop and implement courses of bachelor degree and master degree, and also post-graduation courses, short ones. And I have been coordinating this department to work with the professors to give them competencies and to help them to produce the contents and all the online support they need to develop these classes. And of course, we move from, and those professors move from the face-to-face experience, totally face-to-face, to 100% online experience. So in this case, the challenges have been really big. And of course, that we can see that the blended learning, it would be a better option for this movement at the university, because we are really facing this. We really need to improve this competencies in using digital technologies to improve the experience of the students. And we have been working with them in a model which we provide for students a flipped classroom experience, like we put the content first and 1 week before the meeting, and the students in an autonomous way, they contact with this content, and then the professor can use this experience to improve even more and to take that class to improve even more the experience, the learning activities. So it's a really big challenge for the professors. And I think at the universities, the structure, when we want to give this step for the e-learning or B-learning, you really have to support that professors to give this movement, or to give in a e-learning or B-learning or whatever. You really have to support this. And for the other hand, we have the students that we feel that they are not even prepared to assume this kind of, they really have to be this autonomy about their own learning activities. So we feel that it's a challenge for the professors, and it's even a challenge for the students itself. So how can we, universities, can help to give support, for teachers and also for students, because they really need to support their new way of study, because it's usually different from the face-to-face activities. I don't know if I would be very short, and I think it's just give here some sharing some experience, and we hope that for your work, or we can talk a little bit more after this roundtable.
Okay, thank you, Professor. These thoughts, and I think we have some ideas to discuss. Concerning the subtopic 2, we have strategies, and good practices from Professor Victor Rossio, Universidade Aberta. Professor, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to thank you first the gentle invitation. I would like to thank the invitation for this panel, and what I can bring. I'm not familiar with the project, but I think I can bring some experience on the distance learning methodology. I work at Universidad Aberta, which is a distance education institution in Portugal, a public institution for distance learning, and we work only with online teaching and learning. So I can't say much about blended, but about e-learning and online learning, we have right now about 30 years of experience. Before the internet and after the internet, so I think I can share a bit of what we have done. So the first thing I would like to say is what is distance teaching and learning, and there are several ways of defining or characterizing it. So already I understood that for this project, synchronous approaches are the ones that are considering. Universidade Aberta works especially with synchronous methods, but we also use synchronous tools. But it's mostly for us. It's mostly about flexibility, so that we can provide our students flexibility in their learning process, both in space. They can learn everywhere, and in time. So they can learn at weekends, at night, when they have time. Because our public is mostly an adult public, that they have their day jobs, they have their family responsibilities, and so on. So this is requires autonomy and self-regulation from the student part. From the teaching part, courses need to be fully prepared before the semester, and also interaction and feedback is a critical aspect in this mode of work, because we are exclusively using have a distance learning model. We needed to define a pedagogical model to support this mode of teaching, and we developed a model and published it, and it's based on four. Just a quick review. It's based on 4 pillars: the flexibility that I already spoken. It's because students need to have some autonomy. It's the model focus that it's student-centered learning. Also, interaction is very important, and I would link this to the presence aspect, because interaction is what establishes a virtual presence between teachers and students. And also because we don't have any face-to-face interaction, digital inclusion of our teachers, and also because we have a large ages of people, of students are varied. So there are younger people, there are older people, and with different competencies in digital technologies. So we need to onboard them, to include them digitally in our model. This leads to several aspects of our model. We have when we have many students in a course, we have to divide them into classes, in virtual classes. We have the onboarding process. So besides, of course, training of teachers is important, and we do it regularly. But also students, when they come to the university, they need to also understand the model, to get familiar with the tools. And we have an onboarding program which is free for new students. Also, regarding the preparation of the courses, we have prepare beforehand a course plan for first cycle for graduation, and for post graduation we have a learning contract. So we discuss the learning goals with the students before the course starts. So asynchronous discussion is the most way, the most common way of interacting with students and also among them. And of course, for assessment, we also have and use online tools. I'd like to not to take too much time. I'd like to finish with what I call the slide. I have some slides here. I called it the COVID effect. So what was this pandemic situation? What was the impact with Universidad? And the one thing I would like to say is that mostly no impact at all for us, because we already practiced online learning. So it comes a pandemic arrives. So what? Students, we continue to work. Students continue to study, and the only change was in fact in assessment, because before COVID we had face-to-face exams. And afterwards we had to stop that, and we replaced it with continuous assessment activities and also final exams, but online exams. At first, what we did was in this aspect was, I think, what everybody else did. So exams were taken at home with some online tool and eventually some communication by Zoom or something like that. So, as we took the opportunity to change also the assessment way, and instead of returning to face-to-face exams, we are trying to do a digital transition in the assessment part also. So also another thing that I would like to point out regarding this the effect of the pandemic was that students, we feel that they are more aware of online tools and resources for online learning. And of course, they are more critical about what we do and what we offer them. And I see that in a positive way, because it also helps us to improve our resources, our tools, our way of teaching. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your thoughts. Now moving to the subtopic 3, we have the future of blended learning. Dr. Ana Nascimento, APS, the floor is yours.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be here.
I will first talk about a little bit of the place where I work. We all work online, and this was a consequence of the pandemic, but we didn't return to the old ways. We remained online. And we work in the criminal and justice areas, juvenile justice and law enforcement, prison and probation services, and we develop evidence-based solutions. We identify problems and needs together with our partners in the prison services and justice services, and tailored solutions which can have as final products e-learnings and presential learnings, and also technology products. So we provide consulting, research, we build digital platforms, and we promote knowledge sharing through our magazine, which is called Justice Trends. Our team is organized in portfolios. There are several departments, if you want to call it this way. We have radicalization, rehabilitation, judicial cooperation, digital transformation, vulnerable groups, and correctional staff, where I belong to. And we have our own learning platform, which is called Corrections Learning Academy, where all the e-learnings we developed in this area can be found there and assessed by any professionals of the area. Regarding the future of blended learning, I hear the very interesting interventions of my colleagues, and I think both distance education and face-to-face education have advantages and disadvantages. From distance education, we can point to the development of digital skills, which is so needed in the times we are living in, and provide and develop the students' autonomy, providing them with the learning at their own pace, which sometimes face-to-face format inhibits because people are all together. On the other hand, it hampers a little bit the human interaction, but the both formats together, I think they are the perfect marriage, because one tackles the disadvantages of the other, and can enhance the both advantages. So they are compatible. They have the best of each other. And the future will be a stronger blended interface. If we imagine a person who works 8 hours a day, doesn't have time to go a face-to-face course in an institution, he can choose a blended method and make the course on his own time. In our case, in the case of the company I work for, we sometimes work with disadvantaged publics. So the development of digital skills through e-learning, it's an added value. And if we think about it, it's cost effectiveness, joining the e-learning with the face-to-face formats. As my colleague said, it allows for a conciliation between the family life and the work life. And it allows to create learning environments that can pass the current actual training, so they can be used in another trainings. And it's easier to develop communities because people can communicate with each other and share information more quickly. And it allows for individual and group learning. And has positive results such as increased mobility between countries and training, and foster transnational exchange, And if we think about it, it reduces the needs for people to move from one place to another and save gasoline and save energy. And allows for to have moments of group learning and individual learning, fostering the responsibility and autonomy of each student, but also promoting group work in face-to-face settings. It may help to solve the blended format, some issues of the evaluation dilemmas, although it's been promoted on light evaluation as well. And it can improve education and training accessibility to people in remote areas because it's easier to get there with digital means. That's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. And now I'll give the floor to Professor Jean-Claude.
Yes. So thank you very much for keeping very much on time. That surprised me, I must confess. So I'll go back to you with some questions in order to enrich this debate. I would underline now the fact that we have the chat on this Zoom session is open, and that any comments that our colleagues from remote participation online might give to our contributions that they might give to our debate should be addressed through that chat forum. And we already have a contribution by New Trang from Vietnam, saying that university needs to build a very strong platform to support blended learning with some specific technologies for teaching and learning, especially how to motivate students and assessments. So please keep this in your mind. I'll get back in the same order if you think it's okay. And I'll get back to Professor Tiziana Tres. You mentioned that I understood that perhaps the major approach would be flipped learning on the courses that you are now providing. How is that working? One of the things that we read in the literature, it's sometimes very difficult to have the students committed to their learning process. And so let us say it's not universally accepted, and not every student comes to class with the work done before. So how do you have that experience? First question, but it's also almost a rhetorical one. And how do you address it?
Yeah, we came from the same experience, isn't it? But yeah, this is a huge challenge that we are trying to implement this strategy of flipped learning. So we work strongly with the professors, and we design with them different kind of contents, and we made a mix between different kind of lectures, text, interactive PDFs that we can develop the theoretical contents, and also podcasts, videos, interviews, always trying to be more innovative or more. And they are not in this kind of text. It's not a scientific article. No, they are written by the professor, really to be more didactical, more proximal for the students. And we also mix more theoretical contents with practical activities. Mm-hmm. Also, so we also work with the professor to mix both activities. One mandatory, more theoretical, because we have different backgrounds of students, and with some practical activities so putting the students in a practical and get more involved at the learning experience with works, always trying to develop using technologies So putting the digital tools at the hands of the students to create like a mind mapping or digital mural or a digital presentation or a video or a podcast, and not to be very traditional way, but still helping, because like I said, our professors, they are not getting this innovative model hands-on and it's quite common, especially at the bachelor degree and the master degrees. They choose always text, quiz. And this is the perfect combination for them. And what is very interesting, it's the professors from the post-graduation, they are not professors, they are people, they are experts on those areas that are invited for these courses. And it's easier to work with them and to diversify these activities. They are much more open to go to our studios, because we have a professional studio that the professor came and record the lessons and go to or record the interviews or the podcasts. And those professors that they are more experts, they really use diversify much more and really can provide a more interesting experience for students.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll go now to Vitor, and I'm going to be slightly mean with one of the things that one of your testimonies, you said that as to the COVID effect, and these are, as much as I can remember your words, we almost have no impact with it. Okay, and I'm going to be slightly mean because obviously you're speaking about the relation with the students and the way that courses were developed, which was pretty much standard among you, since you are an open university. But what about the collaboration between teachers, the things that normally would happen with people at the university not being able to meet because they were confined? How all the support network of of collaborative teaching approach functioned on the COVID, and has that changed to the post-COVID? For instance, perhaps you tended to just meet at university, and now you are more flexible and extend that to other approaches.
Yes, thank you. It's a very good question. Yes, we since we don't have classes and teachers, usually even before the pandemic, we didn't have to be at the university all the time. So already most people worked at home and collaborated with each other using Zoom or other tools. So in that way, maybe we during the pandemic it was exclusively like that, of course, but I don't think that was much difference on that regard. Maybe the thing that was more, but I already mentioned the exams, since we need to invigilate the exams, we need it before. So that was also a way of teachers to meet each other, and sometimes nice to meet you. We didn't met before, and even when they were at university for years or so. So it was the first time we met them, first time in the exam. Okay, but now we don't have. post-pandemic, we still, because we are in a transition process, we still have some face-to-face exams, but it's a very small component now. So in that way, we are used to collaborate online with we have we use Moodle for teaching, but we also use it for collaborating. It's a tool that even if it's not the perfect tool for collaboration, but among teachers, it's a tool that everyone knows, and we create our own spaces virtual spaces in Moodle to do that. We have the department space, we have a scientific council space, and people discuss and participate in the forums in that way. If a more direct approach is needed, one of the difference that I noted is that we all started to use more Zoom because before I had a responsibility in the rectory for the technological part, and many people came to me and said, we need support for using Zoom because we are not used to it, and okay, but it's an easy tool. You can use it easily. Our IT department will give you training. No problem with that. No, but I need them to be there to open the session and all those things. And I don't see the need for that. But and afterwards, after the pandemic, all of that ended. Okay, everyone became an expert in Zoom, and no need for support, for direct support now. Still, we have some training for new people, and if there are some things that the tool is also evolving, so some things still need some training, but it's residual now, I would say. So
yes, we had the same problem, and our solution was to make an A4 sheet of paper with the step-by-step how to connect to Zoom, and then all training was done on Zoom, even on how to use Zoom on the remote emergency teaching period. Of course, most of the teachers were concerned not only with the technological approach, which of course is a new tool, so understandable. Sorry. So I was saying that in our situation in our college, we also had the same problem. We solved it with a step-by-step sheet of paper saying how to connect to Zoom, and then using Zoom, showing how to use Zoom in classrooms, which clearly points out to the fact that using Zoom is just not only a technological problem, or we also have to work with people trying to understand how to change from a face-to-face to a remote, and how to, having the notion of presence of every student, the importance of having video always on the student part, and how to make shorter parts segment and make shorter parts on the class, giving students possibility to intervene, on having some hands-on strategies and tasks to be done in order to have the assurance that students are working. The fact that group work can be very well supported with the room. Don't know what's the English name for that, but the sub rooms, the dividing students by rooms by work group, and having them then presenting the results. So a number of strategies trying to cope with the fact that they were not on a face-to-face environment, but on a remote mediated video conference one. So thank you very much. I'll pass now to Anna, and I have this curiosity, but that's not the question, but nevertheless I will state it. Since it's a conditioned environment, because you're working in prisons and correctional facilities, how do one, tackle with the fact that you're using a tool for opening up the education process on a conditioned environment. But I will leave that perhaps for the coffee break because it's not exactly on the focus of this session. But one of the things that I heard you, and the fact that you identified a number of situations that the blended learning could be of usefulness and a more positive and powerful environment. And can you share your thoughts on the asynchronous versus synchronous equilibrium, like asynchronous when students are more, as Victor well put, on more autonomy, more self-regulated, and on the synchronous, like this session, when we are at the same time working together. How does that work on your from your point of view? Did that was that an issue, having to prepare your students to self-regulated autonomous work, or was that an easy thing to do?
We sometimes I haven't worked directly with the inmates yet. But I can tell you about the asynchronous experience in another context, because I also taught at the university in synchronous courses. I think it can, the technology exists and we shouldn't be afraid to use it. I think it's a case to say, and please don't get me wrong when I say this, it took a pandemic to push us for its usage. And I think it's normal that people sometimes feel insecure to try new things. But they should be used and enhanced, and if there are mistakes, as with everything, they should be corrected along the experience, and data should be collected and studies should be made in order to improve the user's experience and the teacher's experience, because I think it will be the future for every good reasons.
Thank you very much. Coming back to you, it's another round, but we do have another contribution from the online chat, this time from Fan Than Hoa. I'm sorry, I'm certainly mispronouncing the name, and my apologies. That comes from the Hanoi University of Industry, also in Vietnam, where they built a digital platform called Electronic University, where teaching materials like lecture slides, lecture video from teachers was loaded for students' use. Zoom was embedded to this platform, and the classes and students are managed that way. Advantages of distance learning is the presence of all students class without any gentile reasons for genuine, perhaps, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this, without any gentile reasons, good reasons for absence, unless internet connection was bad. But the big problem at this university, since it's on engineering fields, when having distance teaching during COVID, was many lab works had to be stopped. We had the exact same problem. I myself come from a science and engineering college here at the Universidade Nova de Lisboa, and we did have some cases where simulations were used in order to have some fulfillment of the void created by class. Other things immediately, although there were rules of participating on closed rooms like a laboratory, we as soon as we could as soon as we could go out of the strict confinement, let's speak this way, we had a very strong physical presence rules regarding laboratory use, with we fragmented the number of students on laboratory, increasing the number of laboratory hours, number of laboratory teaching hours, which was not easy, as you probably will agree. So again, we had this same problem, and we tried to tackle it both by creating substitution hands-on situations, particularly with simulations. There are already, as you probably know, on the market, very good virtual 3D and augmented reality solutions, but very expensive, but very good, actually. And if you want to see one, if you look at TED on TEDx, you'll find a good example of that. And so that's how we try to survive during the pandemics in regarding the laboratory need for both for science and engineering classes. So coming back to Tiziana, one of the things that you mentioned is that you had to one of the strategies to better support students were to invest very hardly on good materials, on design of good materials. That's probably one of the things that everyone has to address. And I would like to ask you: have you considered the vast repositories of open educational resources that already exist online? Were that in some sort of way used? Or did you go deeply into your own instructional design process to produce very specific materials?
Yeah, we have we give them access for this online open resources. Of course, we try to enrich this experience, but our university really want to create an identity very strong. Like this is a course of European. So we are really work with every professor to create their own content, and it must be original and contemplating that model of this articulating theoretical resources with practical resources.
Okay, so again, is trying to figure out better how that worked. How did you go into the for instance, Victor mentioned a while ago the support need for and then Anna also too, because when she spoke about digital competencies and the added value of using blended learning in order to achieve that. How did you support students? Is there a support office for the use of blended learning? How did you go about that?
Yeah, my team, it's a team of learning architects. So
Okay.
we support the teachers to construct their contents. Then we have the support of student experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the platform that we really have to take care to put all the contents and create all the dynamic to provide a good experience for the students. And we have a team of for IT, because of course the technical support and technical aspects, it's also very important in this field of learning, be-learning. And we have to, so we have a team of we call tutores in Portuguese, it's mentoring.
Mentoring.
And each assignment, each course have their own mentor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so during all the year or the semester, they will be together. So they are responsible to make the link between students and the professor and the institution.
Okay, thank you very much. We're coming to the end. If we want to keep perhaps also still about 5 minutes just to go still a full round. I was going to ask Anna regarding the participation, and I'm sorry, yes, because you mentioned the perfect marriage in between the blended learning as a perfect marriage between face-to-face and remote online. Do you think that that can also function, since you mentioned digital skills and the possibility of reinforcing that bit also. Do you think that can be a bridge towards a lifelong learning, distance learning approach for the future, or is blended learning in some sort of way a good marriage? But let's say like that.
I would like to believe that that would be a growing trend for the future. Namely because what I've said before, we have the technology, and I also believe that all technology is not good, because the human touch and human interaction is very important. And so why not have the best of both?
Okay. Let me also ask another thing that you mentioned. You mentioned that you're structuring your approach through different portfolios, meaning different areas of interest and work. Do you also use portfolios for assessment, or is just a way of structuring?
No, it's just a way of internal organization.
Okay. And so how do you address the assessment? That's a huge factor on blended learning, but Victor mentioned that even for a distance learning institution like Open University, they had to address that, because generally they have the distance learning approach for classes, and then students come to the university facility distributed nationwide in order to do their exams. But that couldn't work like during the pandemics. So how did you address assessment? Was that changing for instance, oral exams through Zoom, or how did you?
Online.
Yes. With quizzes, with oral.
With quizzes, with forms.
Forms, yes.
So people can answer and give suggestions. Yes. So basically.
Okay. Yes. Great. And same questions to Victor. How was the digital transition for digital assessment on
it's
on the
still
University?
ongoing, but the same similar strategies we used. Most teachers, I think they used assessments, so written assessments as well. So they prepared a sheet with questions, and students had to submit the answers. But some of them, and trying to increase that, to use different tools, to use quizzes, to use other ways of assess the students. So that's what we are still. This is still an ongoing process, because and it has much to do with training teachers, because what we notice. I mean, I think this is general. People tend to do the things the same way they did before, even with other tools or other technology.
The mimetic effect.
And that's not the best approach. So often it's not the best approach. People need to understand from a pedagogical perspective, and with the tools they have available, what is the best way to assess students. I take the opportunity to comment one of the things that you said in the beginning, if you allow me. Some teachers from face-to-face universities, they say things like, there is nothing like face-to-face teaching. And I heard that, and I would like to say that I agree, but probably not with the meaning that they intended. Because I think, agreeing with Anna, there is nothing like face-to-face teaching. It's a pedagogical approach that works, that has its value, and it has a place in the general education context. But what I mean is, what I would like to say is that I agree with that, but it doesn't have to be only face-to-face teaching. So that's probably what people that say these things mean. But
Yes,
It can't be replaced with anything.
I'm not
I agree,
as,
but,
yes.
but it can be complemented with online.
It should be. And I think that we're
web
standing here
approach.
today. We're standing here today. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Standing here today discussing blended learning after the post-COVID times. And that's precisely the point. So, of course, that we have a huge potential using digital technologies in order to enhance the digital learning and teaching environment. But blended learning, by definition, is also having face-to-face the perfect marriage presence, and so that's guaranteed. I think that we are quite sure that blended learning can be the best of both worlds, as Anna also has put it. And we are now very much closing this session. I will leave for your own thoughts one of the questions that I had here, which regarding the large language model revolution and the presence of ChatGPT wherever you look for, and the promises of the now fulfilled promises of artificial intelligence at everyone's reach. At everyone's reach. But I will just end by asking you on this approach of having blended learning as the best of both worlds, of getting the digital enrichment with the face-to-face. And I would like to make you a very short one-sentence recommendation regarding blended learning on post-COVID times. One recommendation, just one.
Maybe think about the best of both worlds and marriage them.
Okay, thank you. Anna?
We should not be afraid to use technology, not losing the human interaction.
Human touch. Thank you. Enrique?
So I'm a computer scientist, so I probably will speak against me, but I would say that blended learning is not about technology, it's about pedagogy. So consider first the pedagogical approaches and then know the technology that you have at your disposal and use it the best way.
Okay, so thank you very much for your excellent contributions, and I'll give back the floor to our moderator.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you all. We will, I don't know if anyone in the audience has any questions yet. If so, please put it in the chat while we are still before our break. But we will have just a short break now, 15 minutes. So at 12 set time, be back and we will have the second part of our event for the Blended Learning Grand Award. So see you in a few minutes. I'll just check if there is no questions and no. Okay, if not, we'll see you in 15 minutes. Thank you. See you soon. Hello, everyone. We are back again. Okay. I think, hello from Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, colleagues. Can you hear us? Okay, Professor Gianluca, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry.
Good morning. Good morning from Portugal. Almost good afternoon or lunchtime around your in Italy, right? And in Spain. Hello, dear colleagues. Shall we start the presentation? Can we start?
Yeah.
Okay, Professor, I'll just give a brief introduction to the professor. So, hello everyone again. Sorry for these technical issues. We always have some kind of issues. But without further ado, we will now start the second part of our event today for the BLA Award, Grand Award presentation and selection. So with us, we have one of our esteemed colleagues and consortium partner, Professor Gianluca Matarocci, Professor and Researcher of Banking and Facoltà di Economia of Università degli Studi di Roma, Vergata. Hopefully I said it well. He has a PhD in banking and a Master's of Science in Asset Management. Currently, he is the Director of Major in Real Estate Finance at Louis Business School and Adjunct Professor of Corporate Finance at Louis University. Professor, the floor is yours for the introduction of our awardees presentation. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, so first of all, it's really a pleasure to be here connected with Nova and Autónoma de Madrid for this event that will close our second selection process for the Best Learning Award. What we will do now is start introducing a set of outstanding experience that our colleagues from Nova, from Tor Vergata, and from Autónoma have presented for the award that we have done and we have completed only a few weeks ago. So the idea of this meeting is to share with you what the colleagues have done in terms of teaching methodologies, innovative solution for teaching in a blended scenario, and try to understand what we can learn from them for our courses that will be offered in the next months. What we will have today is a set of presentation made by colleagues coming from the area of STEM, the area of humanities and social science, and the area of medicine. I will only introduce the speaker and I will leave them the floor in order to explain us what they have done during their courses. And after we will have also a Q&A or a discussion if needed. The first presentation is from Autónoma de Madrid, and the speakers are Marc Pérez Martinez and Joan Arredondo Lamas.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's keep going. I was already afraid that our presentation might be too long. So now with this delay, I'm sure it's going to be far too long. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of history. So why we came out with this course and how we did proceed to develop it and how did we structure it. And then I will show you a typical lesson that we were using, how it was structured and how did we work and what the students did in the presential part of the BIP. Okay, so let's go to the beginning. This is, as you can see, the Moodle page. So it's the same image that you can find in the Civis Moodle. So that's why we choose it. So this whole thing started when people start talking about European universities. So we heard it, we were discussing it, and we were saying, yeah, well, great, but yeah, how do we do it with undergrads? Because at master levels or at PhD students, looks kind of easy, but how about undergrads? So every university will have different programs, different calendar, different schedules. So it's very, very difficult to join things together and make something common with a bunch of different institutions in different countries. Then we came out across something that was called virtual mobility. And then we thought, yeah, well, that might work. Because students don't have to go in the classroom. They don't have to travel. They don't have to come to our institution, so they can still follow their own courses. And they can interact with other people in other institutions since they're virtually mobilized. And then an UAM inner call for blended programs came out. So we thought, okay, that's our chance. We can use this to promote a course that's shared between different universities, and we can make use of the program to encourage students to travel, bring them here, and do something. Then the students can travel, can meet each other, and can physically interact with other institutions. So it was a good chance. So we started with it. We have never not done anything like this before, so it was kind of a scary thing. So first we did with found partners with the very big help from Nadia, and we contact finally with Aix-Marseille, with Bucharest University and us, and then later on this last year in the second edition of the course we have another partner, which is the Free University in Brussels. So now we have 4 universities participating in this course. So the first thing we had to do once we had the partners was choose a level. We wanted to do it in undergrads, so we thought, okay, let's go for first years. Basically 2 reasons. It's basic content, so it will be more or less the same everywhere, so it will be fairly easy to agree on it. And then our other intention was to create a culture of mobility, a culture of sharing things and moving around and picking things from here and there. So it looked like a good idea to start from the beginning. So if you have them in first year, getting in touch with these type of things, it will remain through the rest of the degree. If you do it with 4th years, yeah, they learn and then they leave. So no culture creation. So once we had that, we did have to pick a topic, something that was common to all universities, and find a way to share students and share the teaching. So we thought that it wouldn't be really a European thing if we were doing all the teaching to students in other universities. So we needed teachers and students from other places and share everything. And then we did have to build a common schedule, which in the end was the major problem. Why? Because holiday days here and in Romania and in France and in Brussels are different. Time schedules through the day are different. I mean, exams are placed in different positions. So it was kind of a nightmare. We need something flexible. And then in this sense, the BIP format was a great help because we could make use of synchronous lessons in which every student was there in the classroom, but also a synchronous one, which help us to compensate those differences. We also have to have lessons in holiday days. So our students were having classes in holiday days, but also students in Belgium or in France and in Bucharest were having lessons on the holiday days. There was no other way. But in the end, it worked quite well, actually. Yeah. So for sharing the students, we wanted them to share local culture. We wanted also to share knowledge, work, time together. So we decided to make extensive use of teamwork. So we based most of the course in teamwork. So they could really interact. We forced them somehow to interact. So we made the teams ourselves. So we gave them a survey, asking them for the English level, previous knowledge of other languages from other countries participating in the program. It will facilitate communication, teamwork experience, if they were happy with it, if they liked it or not, to combine people, and hobbies and personal interests. So our aim was to favor diversity. So the more diverse the teams, the better. And we were working with teams of 6 members, which is actually the number of the size of teams that we usually work with in other topics that we share. For sharing the teaching, what we did was divide the topic in natural fragments. So we didn't want it to break it through half of the knowledge block. We didn't care much if the one block was bigger than the other, but the division was natural. So a whole set of knowledge was managed together. Then we give responsibility to each university of taking care of that knowledge block. So each one of us will do it on its own, but we have to do it somehow homogeneously. So we had to agree on a teaching approach, a common teaching approach. So we choose to go for flipped classrooms, flipped teaching, and in classroom we used an active learning approach using immediate response devices or platforms, so we can guarantee interaction with the students when we were so far away as Romania. And then we had to agree on an evaluation system. So since we were going to have them working a lot through the course, we decided to do a continuous evaluation with a very high percentage, 70%, and it was containing in class activities and home activities, and most important, it was individual but also team evaluation. So team impact was being evaluated all through the course. And then a final exam, which would be individual and would be only 30%. So this is a typical lesson, right? I picked one of the ones that we work with, but could be anyone. So first one we did was give them teaching aims. So this list of things, concepts that they have to learn. Once they got the teaching aims, once they know what do they have to learn, what do we expect them to learn, we identify the flipped content of the lesson. So which part of it is going to be at home and which part of it is going to be developed in class. We hand them the content through the Moodle page and place there some exercises to ensure understanding. So something that we can check afterwards. This was important. Why? Because then we could review student work, identify weak learning spots, and work through them in the classroom. When they were coming in class, we went through the studied content, clarify the learning spots, and use immediate response devices to ensure understanding, to make sure that everything was being understood, so we can clarify and solve doubts. These bits were done individually, so because we wanted to assure that each and single student was learning the content. And of course, this allows you to have immediate feedback. The second part of the class, there were 2 hour sessions. It will be new content on the same theme. And then again, we would introduce the knowledge and use problems and short questions to make sure the people was understanding and using the knowledge that we were giving them. They will answer through teamwork in a collaborative platform, and we will give them immediate feedback. So they will place the answers in these collaborative platforms. We were using a whiteboard application where you can see the answers from every student, and we will give them feedback immediately in the class. So we make sure that everybody knew the right answer and the reasons why, which is the most important thing if they didn't know from the teamwork. In a typical asynchronous lesson, we will carry it out the same way. According to a list of teaching aims, we will give them readings and short videos and stuff like that. Then we will give them problems or cases to solve through teamwork. They will have to upload one single answer per team, and then we will give them written feedback. From this written feedback, they will have the option to correct their answer. So you get the feedback and then you review your answer, and then you can change it if you want it, correct it, improve it, whatever. And after the correction, we will do the marking. Okay, well, results-wise, yeah, everybody passed the exam. Yeah, we were not expecting less because there were very little students, so you can follow them closely. But in order to know if things really did work, we gave them a survey, and this is what they said. So they found useful the teamwork part. They liked and enjoyed the teaching approach. They said that they were finding a more personalized treatment and more close attention from the teacher. This is also due because they were very little students. Those things were good. And the summer school that I will go afterwards. They found, especially the first year, there was some missing teaching coordination. I said that was going to be long. Sorry about
Go
that.
ahead.
Okay, sometimes online teaching was a bit too theoretical, so not everybody approached the active learning the same way. Yeah, and then the students did have different backgrounds. Yeah, they liked the fact that they were interacting with other people, break the trend of lectures all the way, English, and then yeah, like today we have technical problems and some other things like that. But in general, the feeling and the impressions were very good. For the physical mobility, we were doing a 1 week of lab work. It was more or less project based, and we were having long days. We wanted to have long days because we wanted to have the students all together working in teams. So this is what we did. In the first day, we gave them an introduction of the techniques and approaches that we were going to use. And through the rest of the week, they were doing experiments, getting the results. And the last day, they were sharing them through presentations. Everybody was doing similar things, but not exactly the same. So we could discuss different approaches and see what different information says. So we have to say that these people were first years, right? So in our universities, in first year, they don't do these experiments. This was far more complex than what they usually do. So it was really, really helpful. And they were very happy. Again, we hand them a survey, and then they said, again, teamwork came out, that it was daily. The discussion of the results of the last day, very often students didn't like, they found it very useful. That the fact that teams were mixed, so we have students in every team from each country working together, favoring the ties and the exchange of information. Again, that the students were different in background, they consider it somehow a weakness, but in general, as you can see, they were happy. I'm gonna go faster, yeah. So in the end, now we will apply again for a bit. So we go in for a third edition. As I already said, we are 4 universities now, and we hope that we will grow at some point. So basic cell biology is now an official topic at Aix-Marseille. So they created a topic specifically for students to follow it and join the course. And in our faculty, there's an ongoing proposal supported by the Dean's Office to send this project to all the topics in first year and create a common ground so students can start moving around. So in the end, we're quite happy about the results.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a lot.
much.
And sorry for too long.
Thank you. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for the presentation. Now we have a second speaker who is from Autónoma de Madrid. That is Celia Polop and Carmen Morant.
Yes. Gianluca, when we get ready, while we get ready with the presentation, may I ask you, maybe we could change and then continue in one, and then we don't have these technical problems. So the third presentation maybe could be also one. What do you think?
Okay, we will go with Alessio. So
Okay.
the new speaker will be Alessio Farcomenis from the University of Roma Vergata. Now we will share the screen.
Okay, so can we go on with Carmen, Celia Polopa and Carmen Morant?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Is my turn? Ah, this is the microphone.
We have to talk here, no?
Okay. Yes. Good morning, everybody. First of all, we would like to thanks to the organizer of these awards. It is really a pleasure to us to receive this BLA award for the organization or coordination of the Summer Leaf School, Fundamental Materials and Application of Lithium-ion Batteries. We are the coordinators, Carmen Morant, and I am Celia Polop. Well, this school has been organized by 3 civis universities, Sapienza University of Rome, Aix-Marseille University, and the UAM. We are as coordinators, and also one African university, the University of Witwatersrand from in South Africa. Well, we no, what? Doesn't work. Okay. Okay. Then okay. Yeah. You remove the. Okay. We designed this school. Was a complete new school that we designed after the COVID pandemic to attend to the necessities of the new war situations. Then we are aware that the development of energy storage media is fundamental for the decarbonization of our planet. Well, most of us, we carry on a lithium-ion battery in our mobile telephone, and well, a lot of us even in our cars. Then I think, well, we think we don't need to explain the importance and the impact of this topic. Then our main goal with this school is to train to the next generation of European scientists that will contribute to the decarbonization of our planet by giving them a background about physical, chemical concepts, application, and social issues of lithium-ion batteries. Then the school is divided in 2 weeks. In the first week, during the first week, the teachers from different countries and university give the online lectures, and the students learn about the state of the art of the lithium-ion batteries. And during the second week, the students move to a non-home university to develop an experimental project in a research laboratory. Then during this second week, the students receive experimental training. Then we use both blending learning methodology and blending mobility. Now we are going to explain with more detail what we did in every week. During the first week with the online lectures, 27 PhD and master students from 8 different countries participated from countries from North, Central, and South areas of South countries of Europe, and also African country. And well, the online lectures were given by five professors from 5 different countries. Then this school is international, and it has a very strong cross-cultural diversity and inclusive character. We can see here, this is the, I don't know if I can here. Okay, this is the, well, the overview of the program of the lectures. We cover the online lectures cover a wide range of different disciplines. Well, physical, chemical fundamentals of leaves, technological application of leaves, relation of leaves with the climate and the environment. And also, which is very important, we finish in the last part, we treat social issues of the leaves, such as cost, recycling, and safety. Then this school has also a very transdisciplinary character. Then, and this is corresponds to the second week, the week where the students develop the experimental project. 19 thesis scholarships students participating from different universities. And okay, the students during the second week, the students moved to a non-home university, but we use a new organization procedure that we developed, we proposed. This was the first time and was signed risky. And it consists is that all university send students to the other university, but also the participating university receive students from other university. Then we had a strong interchange of students between all the university, okay, as it is represented here by the arrows in this. In this way, we could offer, okay, professors from all the universities could participate in this second week, and we could offer a wide range of specialists knowledge. No? Then this is a clear research-oriented education school that we not only give theoretical concepts, but also we give experimental training in advanced research laboratory, which we think is very important for the formation of good professionals. Then now, my colleague and friend Carmen Moran will follow with the presentation.
Then for the second week, I am going to explain you the second week. Each university propose an experimental project, depending on the facilities of their laboratories. And then the students select the destination with the project, with the experimental project. And then we distribute appropriately from to the different countries, to the different experimental projects that they wanted to do. The projects were, for example, for the lithium-ion batteries, and a study of the electrode and the electrolyte. Another university, the components of the thin film components of storage energy. Another university, the elaboration of ionic conductive membranes, and also our university. I wanted to say that this is an innovative pedagogical method that permits that the students in small groups can have a good interaction with professors and students, and also improve the learning, improve the improve the it doesn't matter. The skills, the skill of the professor. I wanted to select you a view of one of these projects from the University Autónoma of Madrid. The students participate in all the steps for the beginning until the assembly of a lithium-ion battery. They do the fabrication of the electrodes, they analyze these electrodes, and they assemble a battery, a coin cell battery, and it works perfectly, and each student can go home with a battery in his pocket with this interesting project. They were very, and then this is for the assessment of the student, that the professor made the following evaluation criteria: the course attendance and the active participant of the students, the development of the experimental project with a test, and also with a final report discussing all the things that they made in each experimental project in each university. Then you have pictures and graphs of this, some of these reports from different experimental projects, it means different universities, different students, different universities. It's very important to know the evaluation of the students about this course. And then we made a questionnaire, and a Google form, anonymous, that we can attend an aspect about the organization, the documentation introduced for them, the technical problems, question also about the topics included in the course, all the things. And then in the histogram, you can see the good acceptance of all these aspects, and especially here for the second week, that it was very, very good, appreciated for the students. And here you can the general interest that was very good, very good. And then we are very proud of that, because the students make positive comments of this blended learning typology of the course. These are the students, and these are all the nice comments that they made for us after also the answer of the question, and all the nice comments that were included in that. And also to end of the course, the professors went to a face-to-face academic meeting. Was the first time that we meet with them face-to-face. We do that in January the 23 in the Sapienza University, the Roma, and there we make a review of the course. We take notes about the improvements for the next edition, and then we are ready to do a new blending learning course with using this typology that we already presented. All these slides wanted to present you the way that we developed the course, but all the content of the course is also put it in the Summer Leaf CV's web, that you can see all the aspects. And then we are ready for the next one. We wanted also to thanks to all the professors of the course that participate, and also the coordination of this award blended.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot. We will proceed with the third speaker from Autónoma, that is Laura Torres. Laura, can you hear us?
Hello. Good morning.
Laura, can you hear us?
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Before sharing, let me open the file first.
Sorry.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. While I set up, let me first thank the whole project for the award and for this event, where we are able to share these experiences. I'm learning a lot, and I'm seeing myself reflected in the other courses and the other circumstances that everyone has had to face in these pandemic times, or in the pre-pandemic times. Let me share the screen and see if you can see the presentation. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so my area is humanities, social sciences, and this is a course on children's literature in English. Also, a course like many others that were not blended before the pandemic, and that now is a blended one. Unlike the other, some of the other courses here, which I've seen are part of CV's blended programs. This is more of a one man, one woman endeavor to improve the course and to adapt to the online teaching. So let me introduce the course first. Okay, there you go. It's part of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. It's a course in the degree in pre-primary education, teaching future teachers. It's a recent course. It was introduced in 2018 for the first time. It's taught in the 4th year, in the 1st semester, and it's part of a specialization in English language teaching, where we prepare future English teachers in pre-primary education, that is from 0 to 6 years old. The aims of the course are preparing those teachers to be acquainted with literature in English, different forms, picture books, poems, songs, etc. And to use them in their classrooms, to prepare activities, lessons, projects where they teach English to young kids, and also to be able to read out and tell stories in English proficiently to promote the learning of English in their students. And as I said, originally it was a regular face-to-face course for the first 2 years, but then COVID came and we had to move fully online. And then with the expectation of returning to face-to-face in-person teaching eventually, which thankfully we did. And when trying to plan for that online period, what and I say I because I'm the only one teaching that course, I tried to put forward an adaptation that could be successful, not only for the students for that online period, but also later on in the long term, because as some people mentioned this morning, changing into a blended format needs a lot of time on the teacher's part. So it's a great time investment. So how could I do it to make the most of the online materials and teaching also in later editions of the course? So before and then I had like other people or teachers who had to jump into the online mode right away. I had the opportunity to prepare for that because this is a first semester course. So from March 2020 to September 2020, I had some time to prepare and to revise the pedagogical rationale of online teaching. How could I make this into a successful course? And as some people have mentioned this morning, some of the features of online language courses that make them effective are to combine the synchronous and asynchronous periods of teaching and to give very clear instructions to the students, offer them a stable schedule, a clear plan, repetitive practices so that they know exactly what they need to do, how they need to do it, and when they need to do it, and they don't get lost in that mix of online and face-to-face teaching, which just during the pandemic times were done online through video conferences, the synchronous sessions, and now we do them in the regular classroom again. And that theoretical revision offered the vision of the model of flipped learning as the most, let's say, solid one to use in foreign language teaching, one of the blended formats that has a longer history and support. And in particular, what I found as a greater inspiration was the model called SOFLA, Synchronous Online Flipped Learning Approach, which comes from the field of foreign language teaching, developed by Helene Marshall and Rodriguez Buitrago. And they offered a very clear step-by-step model of lesson planning and of work, which follows the flipped format and has this pre-work stage where students access the materials autonomously, prepare the more theoretical contents on their own, and then they have a very clear pattern for each lesson that I use as an inspiration for mine, as I will briefly now show you. And of course, all this involved development and the acquaintance and development of lots of digital materials and digital tools. In particular, those are the ones that I use most. Genially, the one that I'm using for this presentation was the basic one. And then, of course, we have the Moodle learning management system at UAM and Learning Apps, which is a very useful website I recommend for creating easy interactive activities, Perusal, YouTube, and other Google Docs document or forms. So I will show now how the subject eventually finally looks. It has 6 units, 6 modules. I'm going to be showing examples of module 2, which is devoted to picture books, their visual aspects and the literary aspects. And everything students have a very clear Moodle for each unit where they find the materials they need to prepare before each class. They have the different workbooks that I'm going to show in a minute. So they have a workbook to prepare before each class. Those are digital materials, they are interactive. and they know that exactly what they need to prepare before each of the sessions. And now the session, so the sessions function in the following way. So first, they have that pre-work, that flipped content that they need to prepare. Most of the theoretical content of the course is there. This is a very practical content, actually. They need to prepare things, analyze things, create activities. And there was a complaint in previous editions that we devoted too much time in class for theory. So this model has offered us the possibility to use all the lessons, so the face-to-face lesson for mainly just practice. And then the theory is, for example, presented by means of readings, more or less academicals, which they can comment on collaboratively through this tool, which is Perusal. They can read the articles, they can ask questions if they don't understand a word or a concept. Other classmates can answer those questions, or me, myself, I can answer them in advance to be prepared for the session. But most importantly, it's the 12 workbooks that I prepared where they work individually. This is one for picture books as artistic objects. These workbooks have the function, of course, of presenting the theoretical content, but also help students to participate in class more actively, because there's a big issue here, which is that the classes are in English and not everyone is similarly competent in English. And when having sessions where you ask students to participate, they sometimes feel shy, or they don't know how to say what they want to say in English, or they don't participate. But here with these lessons, they have these like speech bubbles with questions that they know they are going to be asked in the session, so they can prepare in advance. So it's not as spontaneous. And that allows people who have a lower level of English to prepare in advance. And also these workbooks have interactive activities. So it's a more inductive way of presenting the contents. Some of the contents are, more traditional readings, but in this case, they have more interactive activities where content is presented inductively. So they need to do some things. And this allows to first, self-assess their own learning. So this type of activities is used at the end also to self-assess. Some colleague mentioned this morning the students' accountability for the learning. So they need to do things all online on their own and to check that they have done it. So you can assess their work with this. And also it allows for a little bit of gamification. So until they need to get the answer right to get to the following part. So it's more active than merely reading, and it's also in this case of this course, which is based a lot on this another type of interactive activity, on readings. It allowed me to include, for example, videos of the books that we don't have copies of the books for every student to take home and work with them. But with those online videos of reading aloud of the books, students can access them, and also other links here, for example, to extra content for those who may have more difficulties. It allows to address different levels, so multi-level materials. So for some people, some extra help will be needed. For some people, not necessarily. So that's what they do before each class. And then we have the meeting in class. We have the warm-up as a whole group where they share those answers to the books, ask questions of content that was not properly understood, and I offer more examples so we can, as a group, share the content in the book. And then we always have a group work and share out session, or part of the session, where they work together, practicing whatever appeared in the book. In this case, it was a workbook about a picture book illustration. So we have a group work analyzing a picture book called Gorilla, and they usually share their answers on Moodle so that everyone can read each other's answers, because in this case, it's not a matter sometimes of good or right or wrong answer. So here's more about creating things. Everyone will have a different poem written or a different activity plan. So they share them on Moodle so that it's a final repository of materials for them when they leave the course to be able to use in the future classrooms. And then we have at the end of the session a reflection and part about what they've learned, if there are any questions, and we prepare for the next assignment or the next pre-work part so that they have, again, clear what they need to do. And that's how our lessons have worked for the last couple of years, from 2021 to this 22nd, 23rd. The impact has been great, not only because it allowed me to survive the online period kind of, I think, successfully, but obviously as a teacher and teacher trainer, the impact has been, well, obviously this award here is the greatest outcome of all this process, I think. But also learning about the blended format, the online, the flipped content. We were talking about teacher training or teacher preparation for blended learning. This has been a great process of learning for myself, also of improving my digital competence in several areas that are basic for teachers, for educators, like selecting and creating digital resources, learning about collaborative learning, and empowering learners through their engagement in the classroom. Now my students are much more responsible for the learning than they were before. And to a certain extent, they seem to be happy about it, because the surveys, the official surveys at UAM of the students' opinions, and also a particular survey that I prepared last year to gather their ideas, their impressions about the flipped method, seems to be successful. So they mostly agree, number 4 agree, or 5 agree very much that flipped learning has been an adequate methodology for the class, and especially that we have devoted enough time in class to theory and enough time in class to practice, which was their previous complaint. So I think for timing, this has been solved, and it shows also in the evaluation of the course, which is based on several practical tasks and an exam. And the grades of the practical task has improved a lot in the past years. Now, I think the main point of the course, which is to teach them to do things, to teach them to teach, is pretty much achieved. The exam is not that successful, but and they complain a lot about the exam. I can't remove it from the assessment because it's in the student's guide, it's in the syllabus, it's in the study plan. I need to prepare an exam for them, but I understand it's not the main point of the course, and they are not very enthusiastic about it. So that's the next point, and I'll have to prepare and improve, but I think the blended format has proved to be very, very useful, not only during the online times, but now in the current times, and I hope to be using it in the future. Thanks a lot, and that was all, and ready for any questions later on.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thanks a lot, Laura. Okay, so now we are moving to Tor Vergata. And so now we will do the presentation of Alessio Farcomeni. Give me only 1 second because I will share the file. Okay. Can you hear us?
Non è un problema perché faccio allungare.
Ci sentite? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Okay, faccio io.
So, good morning. First slide, thanks. So, motivation for big data in economics and business comes from the fact that we are surrounded by big chunks of data, and that is also readily available. So, the idea is to allow the students to learn how to make sense, how to get their hands on this information and make sense of it. So that's a quick content overview. I usually start thanks to the hybrid format with a quick survey on the background knowledge. So essentially ask the students, you know this, you know that, how fluent are you with this topic? And then I try to do a bit of catch up about what is missing. Usually it's about introducing a software. We're talking 4th-year students. This is a master level. And sometimes most of them are not very good with the software. Or even not seen a software at all in the first 3 years. And then nonlinear models. Then I give a general discussion about statistical and machine learning, what they are, how to collect big data, and then practice how to work with large sample size, large dimensionality, outliers, machine learning methods, which are big and hype nowadays. So deep learning, stuff like that. And I conclude with some modern applications, text mining, and everything that surrounds it, and also how to analyze images, sound and video automatically. And the idea is to make the students able to write the code, collect the data, write the code, obtain results, and interpret those results in 6 minutes. The hybrid format, I find it extremely useful. It's a fully hybrid course. Students are allowed to attend in class, at home, or asynchronously. So we make available recordings to all students. And I find that often students come to class in presence, but they have their laptop and they are connected to the classroom. And that is very useful because it allows us to, for instance, they are a bit less shy in asking questions because they can type in the chat rather than raising their hand and speaking up so that everybody can see their questions. So from time to time, I take a pause in my presentation, I take a look at the chat, and I see if there are questions, and they feel more comfortable asking questions. I receive more questions, which is useful. There is a Teams channel, which is continuously updated with mostly with code scripts, but also with slides, data sets. And we also use the chat a lot to discuss, students discuss among themselves about the assignments or with me. So let's say that we have, in some sense, asynchronous collective office hours, which is also useful. 2-person office hours are also in hybrid format, and given that this is a very hands-on course, the fact that we can share screen is useful and allows direct interaction and cooperation. And so, I mean, it's even better than in person sometimes. The strengths of the course to me are the fact that, well, I managed to have textbooks and all of the materials to be open access due to the fact that some authors from Stanford bought the copyright of the book, which is one of the best books on statistical learning. And so, not only my materials are free, but also the textbook. The discussion is down to earth. I try not to oversell the methods. You know, there is a big hype about artificial intelligence these days, and I am a statistician, so I'm probably a bit immune towards this hype, and I think this is a strength of the course. We have a lot of example data sets, both in class and at home. I write my code. I don't come with the code. I write my code in front of the students, and also the data analysis are useful for stimulating the discussion. For instance, we have data analysis about migration, and then the results allow us to discuss what's going on with migration or with terrorism in the world. So we can discuss about open problems clearly. That's not the main theme of the course, but I find it very stimulating. And the students as well. There are limitations. A limitation of the material itself is that the field is evolving quickly. So quickly that it's extremely challenging to me. I have to change part of the material every year. One example is web scraping. Now with there are apps and ChatGPT which allow you to do web scraping very easily. So part of the material has become completely obsolete. And I think next year I need to teach something else. I used to give assignments that were not graded. I swear that the students asked for grading the assignments, and so because they justified it by saying we would be more stimulated to do them and to do them with more attention, and so I accepted this suggestion, and effective next year I will grade the assignments with luck to the students. Other innovative features, as I said, I do quick service open, not instant posts, so not in class, but I usually come to class saying, please, today or tomorrow, answer this Google form so that I know where you are, I know what's going on, and some feedback. That is anonymous, that is also something useful for the students. Some classes are held in a flipped classroom scheme. I don't think that's specific to blended learning, but I think it's very useful for some topics. At least I have a question time, especially in the final classes, so that students can come to any doubt that they have, or curiosities. And another feature that I think is nice is it hasn't been exploited enough by the students, but I hope to stimulate this more in the future. Students can bring their own data sets and problems. And for instance, this year, students came with data about the performance of soccer teams in Spain, actually. And I think because we wanted to bet on soccer, and we did some analysis. I don't know. I think it is rich. But it's been useful to see these methodologies applied to topics that students were interested in, and Messi was not like. We did Messi was still playing in Spain. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we are sharing the new file. Now we will go with the second speaker from Tor Vergata, that is Giampaolo Abbatecola. Okay, now. No.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can hear. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. And this presentation regards the general management course that I teach at Tor Vergata in the Bachelor in Business Administration and Economics. And the year I'm referring to is spring 2022, because this is a second term course, first year undergraduate students, taught in hybrid last year, with 100 students between people in the classroom and people online. An international setting, so 50% Italians and 50% from foreign countries. And this is why, let's say this is a 54-hour 9 credits course, whose main idea is that from the very beginning, so it's 19-year-old students, from the very beginning to teach how managers take decisions in the everyday life, and in some cases also entrepreneurs take decisions in the everyday life. As it is a cross-cultural classroom in nature, the approach is international in nature, because the main textbook I use is one of the most famous textbooks used at international level in business schools, which is the Kuhn's O'Donnell Principles of Management. And this is a McGraw-Hill custom publishing, which collects the main chapters from that textbook. Teaching methods are somewhat cross-disciplinary in their most vivid features. Because on the one hand, there is a biological approach to study how firms compete. This is Charles Darwin's The Origin of Species. And on the other hand, there is a psychological approach on how human beings decide, which is Herbert Simon's bounded rationality main concept that is in the book Administrative Behavior. Both these kinds of approaches are taken to understand how, such an example, Elon Musk decides to launch SpaceX and to use the shuttle to go to Mars or to Jupiter or whatever. To do this, and in this, the blended technology has helped, I think, me very much. The approach tries to be practice-based in 3 ways. The first is what I called meet the managers. and I'll show you something in a while. The second is decide like a manager, and I'm also showing you something in a while. And the third is analyze like a manager. An example of Meet the Managers. This is a live classroom with 2 Accenture managers, one connected from his office, me in the classroom with another Accenture manager in the classroom, like a cinema effect, with all the people, 100 between in-person, online, the managers discussing. In this case, it was an interview regarding what the word management means. This indeed is a Cisco manager connected from Silicon Valley in the US. So it was 9 a.m. in Silicon Valley, and it was 4 a.m. with us, talking about how product management is developed at Cisco. This was a manager from the European Space Agency connected from her London office, me in the classroom, the students in the classroom, this lady explaining how she takes decision for space innovation-based projects. This is a manager connected from Ginebra, his office in Switzerland, an executive from Parker Hannifin, Marcello Campanelli, talking about servant leadership, which is one of the most powerful concepts when studying how leaders take decisions. And the interesting thing is then when we have the written test for this, the students start to quote not the manager who they have seen reading Il Sole 24 Ore, but the manager they have met in the classroom. Then I had a second, and in this case, blended was also very, very much important, that is decide like a manager. And in this case, I'm using the practice operations from McGraw-Hill, which is a software in which basically 19-year-old students simulate to be the managers of a clothing company. Think about Gucci, think about Prada. They have 5 modules, which basically are the modules that I explained theoretically from the beginning. Production, supplying, forecasting, contracts. They can meet in remote. These are some screenshots about the game. It seems like a game, but it is not a game, because at the end, once they have experienced in groups, they can be connected in remote, they can be meeting in person in the classroom after the lecture. Basically, one part of the evaluation is understanding how their groups perform. And the groups which perform the best get some extra points with the overall evaluation grade. And this is what I see in real time, which is the actual performance seen from the instructors page of each group. And this is also actually what we are doing this year, because while I'm speaking now, basically this course is active for the spring to 2023. So this is an example page, and we see how many students are active, how many students have not yet started playing, and beyond the evaluation for the exam, this is an experience that when I were a 19-year-old, I would have loved to do, because it puts you 10 years before what you can do when you start working. And finally, this is a challenge that we do thanks to the support of the Accenture team, in which basically students are invited to form groups and to study form of budgeting techniques and to apply these budgeting techniques to a real-world technology-based context. And at the end, they are evaluated directly by the Accenture managers. Overall, I experienced what I call a co-evolutionary learning environment. I think I learned much from the students, from their reactions when doing these different activities. I think that students learned also something. And one feedback I received is that, for example, I have a blog, which is an impact blog for connecting students policymakers, managers. Some of their theses from this course have become pieces for my blog. So I'm very happy about how this is evolving, and I do think that a number of opportunities came from the blending techniques, because today you can have a manager connected from the other part of the world in real time in your home, that in our case is our classroom. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Gianpaolo. Now we are. Okay, now we are moving to the last speaker, that is Ashif Ashote from Nova Lisbona. So, Ashwin, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's the file be shared before I start. But that is the BLA2, the file. Yes, one file above of this that you. No, at the same folder, please. Yes. And BLA2, exact. Yeah, that's it. Cannot see, that's right. Okay. So let me check if it is working. Yeah, thank you. Okay, good afternoon to all. I think that it is now afternoon for all of us. And let me thank you for having me for this session. My name is Afshin Oshofte, and I'm here to present my experience in teaching data science and statistical learning for finance and risk management. So this presentation is structured as follows. First of all, I'd like to give you an overview of this research and motivation. Next, I'll focus on a graphical summary of how data science could be defined for finance and risk management. Next, pedagogical experience to cover most of the necessary steps by combining different technologies and platforms in an integrated manner. To apply what's an active learning with an online discussion group, book club, etc., and some technologies. And then we'll consider the discussion and conclusion from this experience. So, what is the motivation? The motivation was to find a way to deal with the challenges of teaching data science for finance and risk management, which is a multidisciplinary course and covers not only the scientific part, but also the necessary soft and skills, active learning process and hybrid model, fit to teach what during the research pandemics, okay, that the first pandemic was the COVID-19, and now we are at the time of the second pandemic, that is the ChatGPT, right? So put in action to deal with this kind of pandemic. So my first point concerns the unsuccessful experiences of academia and industry in training good data scientists for finance. So first, let's start with ourselves from the academia. So we are training whom? The data scientists with an extremely good mathematical level, able to describe a word that does not exist. On the other hand, we have the industry and the business schools that they train data scientists capable of overfitting their models to their fundamental ideas. So whatever they have from their experience, they try to find some solutions or some models that they support their experience. So that is also a kind of overfitting that we can see here. So what did I propose a method to solve these two overfitting problems? Okay, so for teaching this complex process, we need to combine and take advantages of problem-based learning, flipped classroom, role play, case studies, blended learning, and learning by doing. Okay, so which seems to be difficult, but might be possible with a good timing and free online solutions and technologies. So how was it done? With developing a model and then combining different technologies and platforms in an integrated manner. So we have an online Q&A on the Kaggle competition platform, with a programming project in R and Python for credit scoring. That is a financial problem. An online book club for presenting chapters of the reference book by students, and a video platform to upload the videos of presentations, of course, by students, with opportunity to put comments on their colleagues' videos. And finally, an online discussion group for Q&A on the LinkedIn discussion group to share their ideas. So basically from this technology, as you can see here, the idea was to use the technologies that everybody can use it, and it is in reach of everybody, because that was the time of the COVID-19, that was the time of pandemic. And the people were not at universities to use the technology that we provide for them. So it was very necessary to have some platforms that the people can browse it by their browsers, simply by having a simple internet access. So first I started with a conceptual model that what I want to deliver, because I wanted to know that which parts of the science should be delivered for this data science for finance. That is not an easy course to be taught. And for finance, this graph shows my understanding of the course needs. We have methodologies and theories. Then with the help of data engineers, with high quality data, we extract some strategies, the back testing and graduation, make a reasonable product from data science. To solve what? To solve all the problems that might possible for the finance, for risk management. And as you can see, many soft skills, underlying knowledge, and support teams are involved in this complex process. So that is a kind of complex course also. So for the first part, which is related to pure concepts of mathematics, statistics, and computer science and finance, I designed a flipped classroom and used the role play method by combining theoretical classes with some activities on our class, okay, on YouTube channel and LinkedIn group, to develop not only the pure knowledge, but also the soft skills of students, such as presenting and justifying their ideas and solutions. So for the YouTube, they had to present a chapter of book, comment on at least 3 chapters of their colleagues, and also review some of the videos that I shared with them, and I was lecturing. So for those videos from me, they had to write something related to the video, not their own idea. So they had to review and watch all the video. But for the LinkedIn, they were free to put their comments as their ideas. So whatever they think about that topic, they were free to say anything that they like. So the YouTube channel gives the student this opportunity to present the chapters of the reference book and comment on the presentation of their colleagues. It helps the students to develop their knowledge and their presentation skills. The channel is not only focused on the presentation of the students, but also includes some short videos from me as a teacher and as a support materials. Briefly, the theme of this activity is providing a platform for book club presentation, being familiar with many good educational resources about data science as a quick complementary reference for data science topics. As you can see by now, 2 books are presented. One book is about data mining and predictive analytics. Another is about financial machine learning. And these books were presented also by the help of a student. So we had some online sessions and 1 or 2 students that present this chapter. I was also there, okay, comment on whatever they understood from that chapter. And then we had a discussion. So that is also a kind of interactive work. The other platform is a discussion group about data science in business and finance that is on LinkedIn. The discussion group is on LinkedIn, which is free, and nice features for this activity is also available there. The students with their profile could have good networking also, and could ask the questions to right people, and it made them motivated to participate in discussions. So the group was successful to make an active learning atmosphere by discussing a lot of new challenges in all parts of the graphical summary of financial data science that I showed you. For instance, in this topic, which is data science for finance, we had 250 comments from the students, question and answers and discussions, and meaningful and professional comments from the students because they are the master students, they are already working for financial institutions, so they have some experience and knowledge to share with their colleagues. So it gave everybody this chance to distribute personal knowledge, and it is important when you have different students with different backgrounds and they could learn from each other. So I also, as a teacher, provide them some short articles about the new modeling approaches or recent ideas about financial analytics or whatever was happening recently in the financial markets. And they have this opportunity to share their ideas or even correct me if they know better than me about that recent revolution or event in financial data science. And the second and third parts of the skills and knowledge are about data engineering and providing algorithms based on the methodologies. So to cover these 2 parts, I use the free platform of CodeOcean, and I put a complete machine learning program in PySpark that I wrote for online credit scoring, including the real data. So the data was a real one, the codes, and also the results on this system. So you can see a complete platform with computation power to publish your educational codes, which is completely reproducible. So the students also could use it, and they are not relying on the computational power of their PCs, okay? They can use this and all the computational power that is shared here. Then we have parts 4, 5, and 6, which are deploying the program and automation. What I did, I defined a group project to solve a financial problem with modeling, and I used Kaggle, and I designed a Kaggle competition for blended learning with hybrid teaching approach. So the Kaggle is a subsidiary of Google, as you know, an online community for data scientists and machine learning practitioners, and all facilities are free for professors. So that is the good news. As you can see here, for one project, we had around 100 questions and answers. So the students had this capability and this chance to ask their questions during the day, during the night, whenever they are working on their project, they could ask. And I asked my students to answer first the questions of the others. If after 3 days I saw that there is no answer, then I try to answer that question. And they learn how to help each other as data scientists in teamwork and being generous to others. That is important for data scientists because they learn from each other all the days, every time. So they can see how their models would be evaluated with an unseen and new data set as the test data set. And they can upload their solutions several times, and platform would give a score automatically each time. So they can revise their models if the score is not good enough and try again. According to the teaching learning evaluation questionnaire, the course evaluation shows a good average, all individual questions higher than 4. Also, it provides us with a rich repository of knowledge, that is a kind of knowledge management, on different platforms, usable for everyone, not only our students, but the other people also can use it. So using free, accessible, and online platforms creates equal opportunity and tools for all the students. That is also important when you are working with the international students in different countries with different access to different technologies. So it also allows the students to empower their hard and soft skills, which is critical for applying data science to complex financial problems. A shortcoming of this approach was what? The required time to review and supervise all these platforms from the teacher and activities of students that should be done by teacher. So finally, these are, sorry, I went back. Okay, these are 2 references, okay, about the same course that is presented here. So the video of this presentation that was presented also in the conference is linked here. And also the publication that is in the proceeding of the RISC conference about the same approach that I presented there is also available for more reference. Thank you.
Michael.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you hear us at one?
Yeah.
Okay, so now is the most exciting part of this event in which our Vice Rector for Internationalization, Irene Martin, will be announcing the grant award out of all the awardees, local awardees that we have heard today. Can you listen? Can you hear us? No? Oh my God. You can. Okay. Okay. So the floor is yours, and thank you very much because I know that you are in a hurry.
No, thank you for inviting me to this really interesting session. Blended learning is essential for not only during the pandemic, although it was helpful, but also for the future of inclusive mobility. And I really thank all the participants. Well, first of all, those of you who are behind this project and the running of the project, which has proven to be so successful. I wish it had some continuation in the future. And also to all the participants, which for me are setting very high standards and good practices that we can all learn from. And I think we are just at the beginning, and you are pioneers really in this methodology, and your work is very useful for the future. So
I'm especially honored to have this role here to give good news. Let me start by reading who has the third award, and then I will read the second and then the grand award. So the third award goes to Summer Leaf, Fundamentals, Materials and Applications of Lithium-ion Batteries from our Autonomous University of Madrid. So the award goes to Professors Celia Polop and Carmen Morant. Congratulations. The second award goes to Financial Data Service to Afshin Ashofte from Nova University. And finally, the Grand Award, which goes to Children's Literature in English to Professor Laura Torres Zúñiga from the Autonomous University of Madrid. Congratulations to all of you, and very especially so to Professor Torres Zúñiga. Can we have a picture taken?
Yes.
We are having pictures here, but maybe can we have other people in the stream, maybe, so that they are also in the picture, or it's difficult?
¿Dónde está? De vista. Ahí a la derecha arriba. Aquí vista ya. Vista. Galería. Galería, sí. Y así ya.
¿No? Sí, ¿no? Pues venga.
Okay. Sí, venga. Sorry.
Smile.
Okay, so thank you so very much, Irene, for being here, and at least you have heard about all the presentations. Just a few words of ending this event, Arlete. I just remind you that these awards, all the local awards and the grand award, have been granted by an international juries. Actually, the local awards are awarded by the partner juries from the partner universities, and juries that are composed by 3 members each university for each area. And then the grand award, they met in Madrid a few weeks ago, 3 members from each university of all the areas, and they judged all, they evaluated all the projects that had been awarded locally. So thank you very much to everyone. And yes, one last picture with all the awardees, maybe today here. Thank you. And I think we can end the session. Arlette, I give you the floor.
Sorry. Lo de va a salir sin la cámara.
Sí, salir del proyector.
Quitas la silla.
No, pero venid vosotros también.
No, por favor, sí.
No hagas tiempo, que está feo, Carle.
Ok,
venga.
Por Dios, estas sillas. Okay, Arlette, you have the floor. Sorry.
Okay, we are on the final stage of our event, so it's our closing remarks. And I would, these are some reflections on the blended learning. I would start by you, Professor. Okay, wait. No. Okay, Professor. So some few words from your experience, from the project, from all this adventure. Professor Carmela?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I mean, the conclusion is that it has been a fantastic project. We have to improve certain things, like have a good communication to really, improve the information for all our teachers. But having said that, I think that the results are very, very satisfactory. We had a very nice debate here this morning at our local event with both teachers on one hand and students that have given us very, very valuable insights of the blended learning. The overall, I think everybody says that how important is to keep, have these blended learning approaches in our day-to-day teaching. Also, how blended learning has improved internationalization actually of studies, pan or inter-university studies, as it is now very well encouraged by the European Universities Alliances. And from the point of view of students, how they need to be also prepared in advance for this kind of teaching and interaction with other students, but how important is to get out of their bubble of comfort within the university and staying at home and having some time to spend together through these blended mobility schemes. We can really improve very much our teaching and the learning from the point of view of students, their learning. So I think the overall impression is optimal, and I think the experience has been extremely exciting and positive. Thank you very much.
Okay, Professor Gianluca, could you please give us your remarks as well on the reflections on the blended learning and also the conclusions of the project, please? Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So what I want to point out about the project is that we started with a project that at the beginning was a little bit strange because we want to identify blended learning excellence in different fields like humanities, like STEM, and like medicine and well-being. At the end, what we have learned during this type of project is that by discussing about our experience, people from economics, people from engineering, people from medicine, we can learn from the colleagues how to apply some technologies and some teaching approaches also to our field. So the idea of this award, the most, if you want, the most interesting idea of this award is to do not create an award that is focused on an area where probably everyone is using the same approach of teaching, but try to mix the experience about teacher and instructors in different fields in order to make an hybridization about the teaching model and try to have something that may be better for the future and try to learn from other colleagues how to teach in a blended scenario. I think that especially on this point, we were outstanding, and the compilation that we are near to complete, we show to everyone that is interested what can be done in different fields and what can be applied in the courses that they are teaching. I think that that's one of the most interesting output that we have pointed out with our project.
Okay, thank you, Professor. On behalf of Nova, we don't have here Professor João Marmat, unfortunately. but we have here a very esteemed colleague that will represent him, Carolina Pereira. She's professor and researcher at the Institute of, Institute of Education of University of Lisbon. She holds a bachelor and a master and PhD in education science from the Faculty of Psychology and Education Sciences. And she recently started to work with us at Nova at the Pedagogical and Education Division. Carolina, would you like to share some words with us? Thank you.
Thank you, Arlette. Thank you for the invitation, and everyone. Thank you for this very fruitful session where you've shared practice and experiences. We started with this roundtable where we had huge at Nova, where we have huge challenges to overcome, but also very good ideas and sharing strategies. We've seen with this award how much has been done and how important the project was. We've just heard how important it was to share experience and to share experience among areas and fields that usually don't speak, but we can learn a lot from each other. So I do believe that we still have to work on having a common terminology so that we all speak about the same and to make the best of what we are doing. I believe that the B-Learning is here to stay in all colors in the rainbow. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for this wonderful working session.
Okay, I would like also to say just one or two words. It was great and fantastic to work on this project. The project BLA is an Erasmus Plus project and it will end until the end of this month. Nevertheless, the results, the exploitation, we will have a publication, a compilation of all the courses we had during these 2 editions of the project. And we will make it available not only in the website of the project, but we'll also have it available on each of the universities of the consortium website as well. The course catalog will be available, and we will also have a paper on the excellence on learnings and reflections on the blended learning. So we will share these results with you, and also in the European Commission the platform will also be available. And I want to thank everyone and the team and the partners. It's been great to work with you, from Professor Carmela, Professor Gianluca. Hopefully we'll endeavor this partnership, and the BLA and the blended learning courses will go on, because I think this is the way. It can have those difficulties, we can have barriers, but more and more we will see that e-learning, blended learning MOOCs will have a positive and continuous upgrowing in the future digital world and future of universities. Thank you.
Thank you, Nova.
Okay, the session is over. Sorry.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you very
bye-bye.
much, Nova and Vergata. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll make this all available to everyone in the website. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye now.